Coming at you live from all over Ohio. A Cleveland Browns podcast full of laughs, rants, fun, and stats. A place where all Browns fans' voices are welcome and heard. A show that aims to inform and entertain you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Barking Browns Show.
Good Tuesday evening to you, everybody watching us live. Welcome into episode 122 of the Barking Brown Show. I'm Jacob, that's Nick, that's Casey. We are brought to you, as always, by our friends over at Homage Apparel. You can go check them out. I'll put a link in the description down below. It's not in there yet because I was late and forgot to put the stuff in there. But check out our friends over at Homage. Get yourself set up. Even though you're angry, I know you're angry. We're angry. We're going to say some stuff. We're going to about how I got my arms sunburned for nothing. But go check our friends out at Homage Apparel. Get yourself set up for the rest. Everything's still in front of you. You're 2-2. Go set that stuff up in front of you. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening?
Man, going into that game, and I guess waking up on the morning of the game, I was so excited because I was like, you know, you're 2-1. You've got this division game at home. You should be at full strength here because we saw the reports that basically everybody was practicing, right? And the only thing was Deshaun. And so then you get to about 10 o'clock. I'm en route to Cleveland, and the report comes out that he's not going to go. And I certainly tried to sip the Kool-Aid and I was like, we're going to win anyway. It's going to be fine. That Gardner Minshew just beat the Colts, or just won. The Colts, led by Gardner Minshew, just beat the Ravens. It's going to be fine. It was not fine. What's up, Casey?
It's not fine, Casey.
I'm doing much better today than I was yesterday. I've emerged from my funk. I'm trying to be, look at this from outside of the box and try to take good what I can take from it. And I have concerns, but I'm going to try to be rational about those concerns.
You know what's? I think that's a really good way to put it, because I think that's where I finally gotten to, where it's like, let's be rational about our concerns. Let's hash this out. And that's the biggest thing that Nick and I, of course, do this show on Tuesdays. It aligns with our schedules very well. But when Nick and I were setting this thing up, when it was just us, well before Network 16 and all that good stuff, it was a conversation that we had where I was like, let's do it on this day so that we're removed enough that we're not coming in here just like flying off the handle at like, and we do post-game shows, and you can fly off the handle in post-game shows, and you can say, hey, I'll do a rewatch, but on my first watch, this is, you can do those things, but we try to come here with our kind of constructive criticism. That's what I'll say, because I dropped a lot of F this team. I'm still shocked that I watched the entire game. I did not leave. I did sit there. I stood up at a minute and a half, and I was like, I'm done with this. And my little brother was with me, and he goes, really? And I was like, no, okay, I'll sit there and I'll watch. So I was a little shocked that I watched through the whole thing without getting really upset and leaving. But I think I have rational concerns as well, and I think we'll be able to dive into those. So what I'll say is, do we want to go? Where do we want to start? I guess. What is it? Where do you want to start, Nick? Because I was about to jump into something that I think is probably not where we should start.
I think
probably not where
the hottest button issue that has been circulating since, and I've certainly contributed, is just Kevin Stefanski, the game plan, the preparation, the scheme that they used with Dorian, and everything involved. And so I think that's the lightning rod conversation coming off the game, and I feel like that's a good place to start. What say you?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was going to talk about the whole weird, very deliberate in my mind situation that surrounds what I thought was kind of throwing Watson under the bus by Kevin Stefanski yesterday, which is kind of
we could definitely.
I don't know if we should start there. But let's start there. Fuck it. All right, filled our quota. Yeah. So that was weird. Like, tell me that it wasn't. Like, so this is the thing that I've had this conversation with Casey and Randy Gurzy in our group chat where I air my grievances, and Casey, when I tell Casey I'm done with the team, he just says, no, you're not. And he just reels me right back in. He lets me say what I got to say, and then he just reels me right back in. But I was concerned about it, and I think I'm less concerned about it now 24 hours removed from it, kind of like Casey has talked about how he feels overall now a couple of days removed from it. Kevin Stefanski is very deliberate in the things that he says. Very deliberate. They don't say anything. He made it a point to say he was medically cleared and decided he couldn't play. Now, he also points out that Watson had not been able to throw a pass over 10 yards all week. That is a part of that conversation that social media has been clipping out and not pointing out that he did say, yeah, Watson was medically cleared, but yes, he was having struggles. Like, he was not throwing the ball more than 10 yards. He didn't have a ton of zip. He went out there in pregame and didn't have it. But he also said it was Watson's decision. And to me, I got a little stressed about that because it reminded me of 2021 in Baker, where it was Baker came out and deliberately was like, I decide when I play. And that was all really, really weird.
Well, it definitely feels like they're.
But, of course, granted, Watson. Yeah.
I'm just. It seems like that's the way that they're just going to handle this now, right? Baker said he decided if he played. Kevin Stefanski said that Deshaun decided if he played, right? Like, that is a trend and definitely seems to be the way that they're going to go about this. And I don't know. Do most teams do it that way? I don't really, because like when on one hand you're medically cleared, on the other hand the player's saying they can't go. I thought we were beyond this.
I think behind the scenes that's how it gets decided, but that isn't how it gets presented to the media. It's going to be, we got together, it was a group decision, we did what was best for the team, Now, also, I don't know if Stefanski would have came out and said he was medically cleared if he was not directly asked by Tony Grossi. Shout out to Grossi for asking a question. It was a yes or no proposition. There was no nuance. There was no how you think, how you feel. Was he medically cleared to play? And he said yes. And then he went on to say, but, this wasn't a lot of double speak, though, because, apparently, what he said, it wasn't a pain tolerance issue. Well, if there's nothing structural, what the hell is it? If it isn't pain, what's, what? It's one or the other. It can't be both. But do you guys remember Evan Washburn came out during the game and said the MRI showed fluid in the shoulder? That shit was never addressed. Never addressed, dude.
I didn't. Yeah.
On the TV copy, he came out and said that he had an MRI that showed fluid in the shoulder, which is swelling. That's what that is. Yeah. But that was never addressed. It was never brought up like, hey, the MRI, what did it show exactly? Mm-hmm. When was the MRI taken? All these questions never got asked, which is where I'm frustrated because we've already went through a shoulder injury with a quarterback and the, half-ass measures and, struggling through it. So they're not all on the same page. Even if they are behind the scenes, it's not coming out that way. It feels very disjointed. It feels messy. And we've been through so much. And as Browns fans, like, the players have to have a different mindset, man, because you always hear this adage, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. That's bullshit. It's 17 separate sprints. Yep. And your ass just got smoked in the fourth one. They have to be able to compartmentalize and not let that carry over to the fifth game. But for us, it's different. Because every time we see something like this, it triggers something we've had, another scar gets reopened, and it puts us right back in the same mindset of, oh, here we go again. Yeah. I don't know how many more here we go agains we could have left in us, man. Yeah. It compiles, it adds up. So to us, it feels like a continuation of something that's been going on the whole time.
Well, okay. Well, I was like, internet's a little choppy for me over here tonight, so I apologize. Yeah, and that's where I'm concerned because it feels like a here we go again, but it feels like a here we go again under Kevin Stefanski. So that's where I'm starting to have some concerns, some issues. And we named this episode, The Browns Have Long-Term Coaching Concerns. And this is what I mean by that, and we'll get things and some issues that I have when it comes to that side of the things as well. This just feels like 21 again. Like, and that doesn't mean it is. It could be they could go into this bye week, truly get healthy, get the quarterback on track, figure out, the last time we saw the starting quarterback, he played pretty well. So we could come out of this bye, he could still play well. They could beat San Francisco 2 weeks from now, and we're having just a completely different conversation. But where we are right now, what we have, I'm starting to have some concerns about the leadership of the team in terms of Kevin Stefanski, because I'm having a situation where a quarterback tells me on Friday, yeah, it's no big deal, I'll see y'all on Sunday. Yeah. And then goes out there and is like, nope, sorry, never mind. And then you backtrack and say, he couldn't throw the ball over 10 yards all week. So then why the hell did you think he was going to play? Like, you just thought he was miraculously going to come out and do it? Yeah. And there was never a 0% chance that he would not play. It was never, you knew there was a chance he would not play. And people say, yeah, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he got first team reps leading into it. First team reps and being prepared to start are not the same thing. They're just not the same thing. And so he had reps. He wasn't prepared. Clearly, the team thought this miraculous thing was going to happen, and Watson was going to be perfectly fine and go out there and ball, when all the evidence suggests he wasn't. And because of that, I'm sitting in a position where I feel like 2021. I feel like last year when the defense decided they needed a players-only meeting after the second damn game, and that fell apart. That's what this feels like, and that's why I think fans are so fed up, angry, and furious, even though they're 2-2.
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces here, right? Like, I was talking to Andrew Spade last night, and we both kind of came. The reason fans are so hot and cold is because this is all a build that originated in 2018. And it's a core that's in their prime. It's a group that you've shelled out as much money for as there is. Jimmy Haslam spends more on this than anything. It's like you've been building, and fans have been waiting, and it has been a struggle to get here for this. And so it's like the season is just a series at this point of highs and lows. And so I was going to say, based on the way the season's gone, they will beat the 49ers and we'll be back at 100 again. But I think the overarching
get smoked by the Colts.
Yeah, and then there you go. Which I'm going to Indianapolis, so it's like, and we are 1-6 in our 7 years of away games. The only win was in Denver in 2018 when Baker beat Case Keenum, which was really pretty cool. But anyway, so yeah, that would follow the trend. But I just think the biggest problem here is not just the 1 week and the one loss. It's the disconnect. What there's something weird going on with this. It's like Deshaun's confident he's going to play, then he's not going to play. Kevin Stefanski just, and it's like you said, and I tweeted this yesterday, that Kevin Stefanski normally does not say much of anything on injuries, right? And they didn't really give us anything about Deshaun's shoulder. This fluid stuff, like you said, did not come from, it's not like we found that out from Stefanski. And so then when you say he's medically cleared to play, then we've got this like weird, like it does not present a united front. That is not the impression that you get. And I think the long-term concerns of that are like whatever disconnected, like we have seen countless times that type of thing just fester and grow through the year. And that is where it derails you. That is where like the culture you're trying to build, the mentality you're trying to build, all of that stuff can go way away. And I think all of us collectively just want to avoid that so badly. And it's just, and I do think part of this is the whole Baker saga and the shoulder issues that we went through there, and just the way, I don't know how does the message go from like confident, like everybody is reporting on a united front, they are confident Deshaun Watson's going to play. Nobody is naysaying that. But then on the other hand, you've got Kevin Stefanski saying dude isn't throwing the ball over 10 yards, which then, okay, if he
then
is
how's
not,
he going to play?
Yeah. So
with that game plan that you had set up for deep
Yes.
shots repetitively.
Yes.
and you saw that, right? And so that's the thing, right? So not only are you guys not on the same page, but then you come out with a complete, like, we cannot use Deshaun. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to yell. We can't use Deshaun Watson's game plan with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, a 5th-round rookie in his first NFL start. You can't do that. That is malpractice.
I would argue that he did way more to set Deshaun up in week 3. If you think how that game started against the Titans, he was setting him up with quick game. He was setting him up with easy stuff, easy answers to the test. I didn't see any of that against the Ravens. I didn't see any of that against the Ravens. But even then, Deshaun wasn't going to pull off that game plan. Had he played, if he couldn't throw the ball 10 yards, then what are we doing walking in doing that? That's the plan. Like, he threw 6 of the first 8 plays were passes. Like,
Yeah.
Come on now.
And the only
Come on,
positive
man. Help
run
the kid
gets
out.
called back for holding. They have like a real positive, like, oh, hey, maybe Jerome Ford's going to have
It was a
success
great,
today.
yeah,
And
it was a great
immediately-
run. The stadium was electric.
And the hold on Amari wasn't needed. He was going to hit that.
Yeah, one way or
I
another.
thought it was
I'm
calming
gonna catch up on
down,
some
but the
comments
more
real quick.
you dig in and talk about it, none of it makes any sense. None of it makes any sense. And it's like, Kevin, you are in your 4th year as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. What are we doing, Kevin? What are we doing?
Screwing around. Jack sat through to the 2-minute warning. Yeah, man, I almost left at the 2-minute warning, but for some reason I decided I was going to stay there. Keep Moore out of the backfield. If you're going to put Moore in the backfield, stop running the only play. They're running the exact same play like every time. And it's like,
Every time.
you've done that 6 times this year. Stop doing it. Like, stop doing it. Casey has a new nickname. He has a new nickname. It's Casey Pumpkin Spice. So.
I can't. We'll get demonetized. I gotta bite my lip on this one.
Apparently, the F words are fine if they're not in like the first 7 seconds.
Oh no,
or
it
something.
wasn't gonna be an F word. It was gonna be something else.
Oh, I don't. Anyway, yeah. So that's where I'm at, and I know there's a ton of people like saying like that. They're 2-2. Everything's still in front of them. Yeah, you're 100% right. But as of right now, I don't have anything that makes me think they'll capitalize on what's in front of them. I go back and I look at week 3 because week 3 was the most recent. You had your most important player. Let's put it that way. You had the quarterback. You had your most important player on the field in week 3, and he played really well. So you're looking at, you've made this massive investment in Deshaun Watson, and if things are going to get fixed, and they can be fixed. And if they're going to get fixed, it's going to be because of Deshaun Watson, and the relationship with Kevin Stefanski or AVP or somebody has got to get figured out and smoothed out. And maybe it's okay. And maybe we're just reading into things and mystic, but I have been burned so many damn times, especially last year. I fought Randy and I had this conversation about that players only meeting 2 weeks into the season where I was like, no, it's not a big deal. They're getting on the same page. And it's like, I'm tired of being like, no, it's not a big deal when everything in my being says, you've seen this movie before. You've seen this movie before. And it ends up with Kevin Stefanski getting fired and them hiring Eric Bieniemy. I don't know why, but that's exactly what I think is going to happen. I'm not going to give my judgment on how I think that will turn out bad. But it's just in my head for whatever reason. It's like, that's what's going to happen. That's where it's going. So what I want to do is kind of shift to the schematic things of the offense. Let's talk about the offense. We'll talk about some of the defensive stuff, and then we'll kind of try to do some good news, I guess. We'll try to do some good news on the tail end of this thing here. I've got issues with the scheme that was not just that was deployed Sunday, but what I've now seen a culmination of the first month of the season. Because I really think splitting the season into months really, I think, like, really makes the most sense in my mind. Like, you can be like, oh, this first month they did these things, and then they did this. Because like 3 or 4 games, I think, is kind of when you start to get some tendencies and you start learning some of those things, and you start being like, oh, okay, yeah, we're good here. Excuse me. Make up your mind. Shotgun, under center, where are you focused? Make up your mind. I'm getting tired of it just being you can't not be under center. I get that you need to do both, but it seems like they've got one foot in both waters. They're like, we want to be a gun team. No, just kidding. We want to do some power running, and it's like, and we begged, and Jake Burns was the leader of this. Diversify the shotgun run game. We saw it in camp in the preseason. And then the regular season comes, and they ain't done any of it. They haven't done shit. The run schemes are so incredibly bland and boring and predictable that when you don't have the greatest running back in the NFL who can turn badly blocked runs into explosive plays because he can find a cutback lane that nobody else can. Batman couldn't even find it, and he's the world's greatest detective. But Nick Chubb, who is also Batman, I just really got myself confused there, didn't I? So, like, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you're looking at this situation where it's like, now that you don't have a runner that can make up for very blandly schemed run games, it's being exposed. And I don't think that I think a new running back could help. Like, there's these rumors about Jonathan Taylor that are starting up because Mary Kay Cavett kind of talked about it and things like that. I don't know how real those rumors are, but they're out there. They're in the ethos, if you will. I think it helps, but I don't think, unless it's Nick Chubb, I don't get fixes it. And you're still getting in the shotgun and just running pin pull. They know you're going to run pin pull. Yes, you should still run pin pull at times to keep the diversity up. But if that's all you're doing, it's not going to do anything. Where's these inside zone runs that looked so pretty at camp in the preseason? Where is creativity and unpredictability? Like, where is it?
Yeah. Jacob's having a tough night. He's working on it.
And he's frozen.
Well, I think all the better that you and I are both here, Casey. And I think just to build off what he was saying, I saw the Jake Burns tweet about the rookie quarterbacks that have operated in empty backfields and shotgun.
Death sentence.
And Dorian in his
you're going out there and using this.
Well, got like little pieces of him. Okay, here we go. He's working on it. Welcome.
It's bullshit.
Here we go.
Quit being bland and predictable and do your damn job.
Did you? So I was bringing up the Jake Burns tweet about operating in an empty backfield and shotgun, and how Dorian in his one game is quite a significant number compared to the other rookie quarterbacks. And I feel like when you add that to what the Browns are doing with the run game right now, and just the lack of variety, that's a recipe for failure. That is,
it's predictable, and you have. I'm sorry.
No. I just think you start to see why the Browns have no run game without Nick Chubb, and you start to see why Dorian. Because I think I understand, and I promise I will be more tempered and measured with my preseason takeaways. But I don't think Dorian is just incapable. I absolutely feel like Kevin did him zero favors on Sunday to be successful in really any way.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of weird that, we give all this credit to Bill Callahan for being an offensive line guru. His son is Brian Callahan, the offensive coordinator at Cincinnati, and Cincinnati has a very gun-heavy scheme that has a varied run approach. If you couldn't just pick his son's brain over dinner, figure out how are you guys pulling this off out of shotgun. Now, they go away from their running game and they fall in their own traps of offensive play calling. But if you look at their gun run schemes, man, they're pretty nice. and that's his son, for Christ's sake. Like, figure it out. It's you have to at this point. You're doing a disservice to Deshaun Watson when he's in there to keep continually putting him under center. His eyes are used to seeing the game from shotgun. That's what he's used to seeing. That's how he processes the game. Lean all the way into it, man. You don't have Nick Chubb. You don't have to go under center near as much as you're doing. And I know that's what Kevin's comfortable with. Brother, we got to get outside that comfort zone. We have to. We have to start playing to the strengths of the players that we have available to us now, and you do not have Nick Chubb. So go all in, man. Pistol, shotgun, let's vary this approach up. And a lot of that comes, they do have to switch up their running schemes from that. And I actually like what Kareem Hunt offers you out of the shotgun running wise. I'm not so sure about Jerome Ford yet because we have such a small sample size, and I think it also brings up a point that we need to talk about is this offensive line is not elite. I know we keep throwing those words because those are names we're comfortable with on the back of those jerseys, but watch what's happening, man. They are losing the line of scrimmage, point blank, period. And it's coming from all places. I know Jed will get a lot of the focus because he's definitely the leader in the pack of allowing pressure, but it's happening all over that line, man. It's the right side, the guard, the centers. It's not optimal, man. We need to start having real conversations about where this offensive line's at right now and how much they can actually protect Deshaun when he's in there.
Yeah, and when you get a rookie who the game is now moving so fast for them, he was put in just the thing that frustrated me, and I was talking to my brother and the other guy that was sitting next to me as well, was like, where's the RPO, man? Where's the RPOs? Where's the zone reads? I think Dorian's faster than Deshaun Watson. So
he is.
as soon as Dorian was the starter, I would have leaned so heavily into RPOs and zone reads, it would have been unfunny. I understand you can't just run him, but you're not running him at all. You're not running him at all. Yeah. There was one, I think it was either the first or second snap for Lamar Jackson on Sunday. They moved the pocket. As soon as he snapped the ball from the shotgun, he was rolling to the right. It was one of the first 2 or 3 plays that he ran, and it was because they understood the assignment. This pass rush is nasty, and it got at Lamar at times on Sunday. And we have the greatest athletes to ever play quarterback. So let's get him out there. He can throw. We'll run some simple concepts. If the guy's open, he can throw the ball or he can take off. It's what Lamar has built a career on, is being able to do things like that. Kevin Stefanski didn't do it till the third quarter. There was a third quarter where he ran a boot action, not a naked boot, but a boot action, play action, where he rolled to the right and Dorian took off for like 15 to 20 yards. Yeah. The first time he does it, now granted, there were some penalties and some bad mistakes. They end up punting. But the first time you do it, the first time you put the rookie in what is his best asset right now, Dorian Thompson-Robinson? His legs, because he's not up to speed with the NFL. He is a better runner than he is a thrower. He's kind of always been that, but especially right now as a rookie in the NFL. And your tackle, your left tackle, your right guard, your center, sometimes your left guard and your right tackle. I think the left guard and right tackle have been relatively fine in terms of pass protection. There's some issues at right tackle with run blocking, yes. But your left tackle, your center, and your right guard are not pass protecting worth a damn. So why the hell is he an empty, standing back there like a statue, and you're not giving him quick and easy options? Why aren't you running RPOs at all? You're not running them. You're not running zone reads. You're not utilizing it. You're running these weird quarterback power with Deshaun Watson, and he made a game because you ran that shit.
But you're not doing it with Dorian.
What? Yeah. But what is this overall? What is the design? What is the dream? What is the vision for this offense? Because right now, schematically speaking, it's bad. I don't know. Everybody thinks it's going to be this grand fix because it's only 4 games in. I've watched this damn movie before, man, and there is nothing that I have seen to suggest it gets turned around.
Well, that's so. Casey, you mentioned playing your players' strengths. Dorian Thompson-Robinson rushed for 645 yards in his final year at UCLA, including 12 touchdowns to boot. I thought that we were going to see it. You know, you're playing the Ravens, by the way. Maybe just like take a page out of their offensive playbook, especially early Lamar Jackson in the NFL, and let Dorian's an athlete, man. You drafted this guy because he's got this skill set. So I don't understand, like, because that was the weirdest thing to me, is that it looked like Dorian is just a pocket passer. He might as well have been C.J. Stroud back there, just chilling, surveying the field, trying to rifle the ball down the field. And that is not Dorian Thompson-Robinson right now. That's just, and especially, like, you could see early, they tried to throw the ball down the field, and it was woefully not, it was nowhere near where it needed to be. So I think, like, if you're the head coach, and I just saw Dorian try to throw the ball a couple of times, because you came out the first drive of the game, and Dorian's throwing the ball down the field, and you're seeing that he's struggling with that. Okay, how about for like the second drive, the third drive, let's get Dorian moving a little bit. Let's let him emphasize and use the skills that got him here in the first place. And I just did not. There was none of that. There was none of that, and so I think that people are saying this is one game. The Browns are 2-2. They can be okay, and I agree they can be okay. But when you're looking at these, when you're asking yourself, is the guy who they hired to call the plays and run the offense and get the most out of his offensive players, getting the most out of anywhere even close to the most out of his offensive players? And right now, my answer is no. And so when you look long term, that is massively concerning.
For me, it's the variance. There's the variance between this team's ceiling and their floor is so wide. I put that on the head coach, man. Like, if you look at these other teams with higher floors, their head coaches are leader of men, and I just don't think Stefanski's that dude. And the most frustrating part of this offense for me is watching what we're watching, but we know those plays exist because they ran them in training camp. We know they put these wrinkles in. They're just refusing to call them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it.
Yeah.
I don't know why, man. Like maybe if he sit down with Stefanski and had a couple shots of whiskey, he'd let loose and tell you. But why, man? We know those concepts are in this offense. You ran them during training camp, and you've just abandoned them altogether now that we're in the regular season because he's in his pocket. You know what I mean? And I just don't know if he can be outside of that. And everybody keeps saying just hand the play calling over to AVP. Man, AVP's a part of this. I don't know how much different it would be. You think Stefanski's telling him to shut up in the meetings? We're going to do what I do? No. This is a collaborated effort. They're coming up with these game plans, and it's not working, man. But that's the thing. We got to pull back. Okay, so we saw things work last week against the Titans. You know, and a regression to the means this week. This uneven approach is what. So what if they do win? So even if they lose San Francisco, they have a bunch of winnable games on the other side of that. But because of this swaying, this high-low, you're not going to be able to maintain consistency. And that's what worries me, man, is you're going to put yourself in a bind again where you have to win 3 or 4 straight. And I don't know if they can do that. They haven't shown us that they can do that. So for me just to believe pie in the sky that that's how it's going to go, man, it's hard for me to do.
Casey,
they banked on the fact that their $230 million quarterback wouldn't get hurt, and then he did.
I think we were talking about this on the pregame show before the Titans game when we said, you know, there's other teams in the division. We've seen the Bengals climb out of holes. We've seen Pittsburgh climb out of holes. Baltimore as well. The Browns just have not done that at any point since they've returned in the NFL. They just haven't. That's not a team that they've been. They have not had the culture and that type of foundation to really build off and rally from. And so we talked about the importance of avoiding this type of hole. And I get it. Right now you're 2-2. And yes, you could beat San Francisco and be 3-2. But say, like, if they lose to San Fran and you're 2-3, I completely, Casey, that's a great point, because then all of a sudden you are on the brink of, something going wrong, and you're 3-5, whatever, and all of a sudden everything's off the rails. And so I just think my greatest frustration too is you look at how you ended up at 2-2. The context matters. Pittsburgh stinks, man. They stink. Yep. They're not a good football team. You had every reason to win that game and be 3-1 and maybe say, okay, Deshaun's injured, but we're 3-1. We can live with this. We've got a little bit of a cushion. And you just completely gave it away. And just for Cincinnati to be 1-3 and this AFC North to not look like the juggernaut that we thought it was going to be of a division to begin with, and then you're still 2-2. That is tremendous lost opportunity for where this team could be and the mentality this team could have for 2 weeks. Normally I feel better.
It's really tough because of the bye.
Normally I feel better. I feel worse.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Hey,
to Nick's point, though, we thought this AFC North was going to be much more competitive. We thought that this is going to be one of the premier divisions in all of the league. And furthermore, the AFC is not up the way we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
We were coming into this thinking, man, the AFC is all the heavyweights. There's a couple teams in the NFC, but whatever. Man, this AFC's here for the taking, and we're just pissing down our legs. Like, it's right there. And that's the other thing is, I look around the league and I see coaches getting more out of their team that have less talent than the Browns. Like, call it what it is. I'm not saying the Browns are some elitely talented team, but they're a top 10 roster in this league.
Yeah.
I look at teams like Arizona with nothing. I mean nothing. And competing week in, week out, being in these games that they shouldn't even be in. You know what I mean? And that's what's frustrating, man. I see coaches getting more out of less, and we seem to be getting less out of more.
Can you imagine if like Kevin Stefanski rallied the Browns to have the turnaround that the Titans just did from the Browns game to facing the Bengals? Like, can you imagine? Like, Mike Vrabel, man, I know the Browns whooped them, but I feel like he is such a good example of a guy that it's like they just got their behinds kicked, and it didn't matter. They put it on Cincinnati. They embarrassed Cincinnati.
Yeah, Harbaugh. Every year, the Ravens have an injury list the length of my arm, and Harbaugh just wins. I said it about this game, man. Like, I said it leading up to it. Casey and I talked about it on the PSF app on Friday. Like, hey, it's a very winnable game. You know, some of their best corner is out. Their best two of their better pass rushers are out. Their left tackle's out against Myles Garrett. They come out, and I said they're still always a really well-coached team. They go out there. But I got a question for Nick. He says he wants to feel better. But I don't know. I have a question because I want to know if this is appropriate. Am I allowed to ask Casey if he knows what an angry Charizard is?
Let's do it.
Casey, do you know what an angry Charizard is?
I am 90% sure we're talking about a Pokemon here.
Well, Charizard's a Pokemon, yeah.
And that's as far as it goes.
So, an angry Charizard is when you're doing the hibbity-dibbity with a lady, and they
maybe
you pull out lighter pubes on fire and say you don't have enough badges to train me. You don't have enough badges to train me.
This
no?
Is your fault, Browns.
You said I could say it.
I forgot how I. Oops.
I told you what it was like 2 months ago.
I remembered quickly, but they let that cat out of the bag just a little bit. Yeah.
Hey, I got a really rare Venusaur card on Friday. That was cool. So yeah, no, I think we're okay. I think that there's a lot going on. Oh, you want to know? You said this is where we're at. You know where we're at? I'm doing a mock draft tomorrow.
I mean,
honestly, if they were 4-0, I'd be making a mock draft tomorrow anyway. It's a bye week. I ain't got anything else to do.
You avoided disaster. right? You're not 1-3. You're not 0-4. You avoid a disaster. And so because of that, yes, the Browns could go on. There's pieces here, right? Like Deshaun just played his best NFL game in his last start, which somehow is amazing, but also makes this loss so much worse, I feel. Just thinking about coming off of that Tennessee win and how we all felt, to then go to where we are right here is as large of a swing as I could possibly think of.
And sit on that loss for 2 weeks.
That's I hate it. It was so important. They needed the vibes. They needed the positivity. I feel like this team is, when you're in Cincy's locker room and you're 1-3, you could still say, hey, we've been to the AFC Championship. We've been to the Super Bowl. We've still got Joe Burrow. We're going to be fine. I just feel like there's ability for that team to bounce back. And for this team, it's like I feel like they really needed that boost that they did not get because of this loss.
Boost.
They haven't built up enough good faith. They don't have that base to build upon. And we know that it's not going to take too many more losses like this before the locker room goes, and then it's just a shit show for the rest of the way, and we're just punting on the season. And that's what hurts, man. This is a year. This is one of the years of the window.
Yep.
Through their actions, through how much money they've spent, through having all these dudes in their prime, like everything. This is a window year. You cannot punt on this year.
No.
You got to be all in for the duration. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting, man, because let's be honest, in 2 weeks, we're not going to be favored in our building to beat the 49ers. We're not going to be favored. That's going to be a game you walk in, you're at least a 3-point dog minimum. But if we see the effort that we saw Sunday, the 49ers will embarrass you, dude. I mean, if you thought the Ravens game was bad, if you take that same approach against the 49ers, you're going to get smoothied, man. You're looking like a 50 burger, and that's not where we thought we would be 2 weeks ago.
Let me tell you, Kyle Shanahan loves to put it back in Cleveland's face. Loves it. I promise you that dude is ready to come in here and just make everybody miserable. So you cannot let that happen. You cannot. This team cannot endure 2 back-to-back, especially coming off the bye. You can't. That game has to be at bare minimum close.
We had a joke about since Joe Thomas was being put in the Ring of Honor and everything, they just decided to play like they did when he was there to honor him.
Man. Can I say real quick, man? They peed all over that. What was supposed to be a truly special day for him. When Joe was out there, it felt like about half the fans were in the stands because they were all so damn disgusted at the first half that they had just watched. And they took what could have been a really you could tell it still meant a lot to Joe, but it could have been so much more. And because of that performance, it honestly, it really shat on the whole thing. And I was pissed. I was really upset for Joe because he deserves for all of his great play. He just deserves such a better vibe than it felt like he came out to there's just tumbleweeds and depression in that state. It was like
I'm writing that line down. Tumbleweeds and depression.
That's what it was, man. It was like Joe Thomas was playing for the damn Browns again. It's the same shit. And I was so angry. Honestly, I'm still pissed. I'm sorry. I'm trying to feel better, and I do not feel better. I do not. I'm still mad.
I need to go to my car and see if that my brother stole my Joe Thomas poster that they gave out at the beginning of the game, because I realized I don't have it right now. Hey, what concert only costs 45 cents?
I don't know.
50 Cent featuring Nickelback.
Nice.
Feel better now?
So much.
It was really cool though, like the unveiling of Joe Thomas's Ring of Honor and all of that. Like he was getting emotional in his speech, and that was really nice to see. I loved it. I think
he came out running. Did you hear what he? Good.
Joe basically said, he's like, I'm going to always rep the Browns. I'm going to always rep Cleveland. That's always going to be my home, and just, you could tell like it really meant something. I love that, man. Like that's what you hope for, just like times like 100 moving forward, and it's like that Joe Thomas is like that. He's just that one guy, man, that it's special.
Yeah. He came running out and he was like, I've never run that fast. I was like, he did. He was cooking it, and then his one kid fell down and he didn't see it. He did not see it. I can't remember which one fell down, but he has 4 kids. One of the other ones helped up that fell down.
I still think,
but as we.
I'm sorry, Jacob. We're having disconnect between your internet and my. I just want to say, I still think that on the high note, it seems like, if Myles Garrett's going to be okay, you've still got a defense I think you can rely on. But largely, that to me, the talent isn't going to go anywhere. But the mentality, the defense will play up to the mentality of the team, and I think that could be great, or it could be not so. We're going to find out really quickly.
Let's talk about the defense for a second. Their tackling was piss poor on Sunday.
Yeah.
If they tackle like that against the 49ers, that team lives on yak. That isn't Zay Flowers. That'll be Deebo Samuel catching those passes. And if you tackle like that, man, it's a lot of house calls. But what concerned me with the defense is, and they were, dude, they've been playing historical. So this isn't me shitting on the defense. It's just pointing out a couple things. Because I shit on Todd Monken all week leading up to the game. He schemed the shit out of Jim Schwartz. He had that in the run game, the pass game. Like they had concepts going, and this is a copycat league, as we all know. Other teams have that tape, so they're going to have to come up with some answers. In the pass game, what they were doing is they found the yardage where they could pass. They found that spot on the field where there was holes in the defense, and it was the intermediate level. So they were running intermediate. They were trying to run clear out routes and bring in someone shallow underneath, and it was open all day.
Yep.
And there was no adjustment made. And I have friends who are fans of other teams, and one of them is a fan of the Eagles. So as soon as we hired Schwartz, I was in his ear because this guy cares like we care. And I was like, so what went wrong when it went wrong? And it was the inability to adjust. Just the unwillingness, even. Not even inability, the unwillingness. Jim Schwartz is this is what we do, make them beat us doing it. But sometimes he doesn't have a plan B. And nothing against Lamar Jackson. He's not the best passer in the world. And he was, what was he, 82% completion percentage? Something like that.
Sounds right.
They put some things on tape, man, that the Browns are going to have to answer for down the line. Now, they might look a little different, but Shanahan saw that shit. He did. You know what I mean? So I think this defense will rebound. I think the talent's too great. I just think the mentality, the attitude they play with, I think all that kind of raises everything. But there are some schematic things that are starting to show themselves that they need to come up with answers for.
Yeah. And the thing about it too was, I think there was a certain point in which they knew the offense wasn't scoring. Because they were not scoring. Like when it was 14-3, and then they let them drive down there and make it 21-3. I knew they weren't coming back. Like I was like, maybe they make it a game in the fourth quarter and it gets a little exciting, or you know what I mean, like something like that. But like Lamar's touchdown to Mark Andrews was one of the prettiest passes I've seen in the NFL this week or this year. Just put it in an absolute spot that nobody but Mark Andrews could get it. And it took a hell of a catch from Mark Andrews too. Because when I watched it from where I was sitting, I was like, that's getting intercepted or knocked down. And then they raised their arm for touchdown. I immediately started looking at the big board to see the replay, because I'm like, there's no way he was in, right? Because it was such a small window for that throw, and it was just an absolute perfect throw. Like you couldn't have played better coverage on it either. Like it was just an absolute. And Lamar and Todd Monken and Harbaugh, they were all in their bag on Sunday. And like you said, Shanahan's going to come ready. So figure it out, man. Like understand that. And if we can see this, Schwartz can see this. Like he can see like this is what's happening. But how's he going to respond to it? That's ultimately going to be the question. Because through 4 games, he's only been wrong or bad or whatever you want to call it one time. The other 3 times, he had some really nice schemes and play calls and coverages. And the game plan was, yes, exactly. Chef's kiss for the other 3 games. Absolutely. But if Todd Monken can scheme you up, I don't need to finish that sentence. If Todd Monken, and that's not an insult at Todd Monken, but he's not Kyle Shanahan. That's what I'm telling you. He's not Kyle Shanahan. Can they beat the 49ers? Yeah, they can go out there. They can beat the 49ers. Will they? Probably not. But like, if you can get what you got from the offense in Watson in Tennessee, the last time you were 100% as an offense, and Jim Schwartz can figure some things out. Oh, I almost forgot. Listen here. Listen. Motherfuckers. I will not accept any Elijah Moore slander. Oh, he's mid. I see why they get rid of him. He's had a game of good quarterback play. A singular game of good quarterback play, and all we heard was how bad Dorian Thompson-Robinson was this week, and now all of a sudden the wide receiver core sucks. Kiss my ass. Go look at the data. Go watch the All-22. There isn't a wide receiver creating the amount of separation in the NFL like Elijah Moore. Seriously. I don't know about the updates from this past game. Am I going to watch the All-22? No. No, not going to do it. But the data through the first 3 weeks, the most open wide receiver in football is Elijah Moore. I mean, what do you want? David Njoku had a great game. Donovan Peoples-Jones is still Donovan Peoples-Jones. Amari Cooper is still good. They have one good game of quarterback play, and we have universally agreed on that. One game of good quarterback play, and you're trying to tell me that the wide receivers suck. If Elijah Moore is mid, why is he creating more separation than everybody else?
You see he's open. He was one of the main
that doesn't make
culprits.
Sense.
When we were saying, oh, hey, the quarterback's just not throwing to these open guys. Elijah Moore was that guy a lot of the time, right? So I think that's another a gripe I have with Kevin. Kevin, stop using – Elijah Moore is not Deebo Samuel. Can you just let the guy – he's getting all this separation. He's showing that he is this wide receiver that you want him to be, because if he's open, he's doing his job. If he's open, he's doing his job. So throw him the ball. Treat him like a wide receiver. We don't need to see any of this Elijah Moore backfield jet sweep, whatever. And I need to see Elijah Moore running routes and catching the ball because he's open.
That's what he was in New York, though. This is the same dude he was in New York. He had terrible quarterback play, and he was just out there getting cardio on Sundays, just running wide the hell open. You know what I mean? It's no different. It's what he's doing now. It's just now that you're seeing him get the ball more as far as like the jet sweeps, and I think
if you actually the ball into his hand.
Yes, but here's the other problem. Without Nick Chubb, I think he's the extension of the run game. You know, you're going to see those short. Those quick outs, those are going to be him. That's the guy that can run those. That's the guy that can get open right off the line of scrimmage. So I think you're going to see him right around the line of scrimmage for the most part. And for me, it's just frustrating because I know what he can do downfield. But none of that shit matters if your quarterback can't deliver the ball. You know, it's all for naught. So they're going to keep saying that about him. The kid gets open, man. That's all he does. Can't be mad at him for that. I mean, he caught nine of his 9 targets in week 3. I mean. How the hell is he mid again?
The game that he had good quarterback play. Yeah.
Right?
How does that make sense?
Yeah.
Make it make
Elijah
sense.
Moore.
Tell me something other than just repeating that he's mid. He's mid. Why? Prove it. Prove it. Because I can prove it. I can prove that he's not. I just did.
I think Elijah Moore, Kyle Pitts, and Darren Waller should come together to form the all-cardio team. because those three guys, man, are super talented and just cannot get quarterback play to save their lives right now. And it's a real shame. It's that I think that's probably one of the most frustrating things. There's a lot, because you've only had one good game of quarterback play. You ask questions like, okay, you traded for Elijah Moore. Where is that? Well, there's a lot to do with quarterback play. You saw David Njoku get emphasized last year. This was with Dorian was the first. I mean, he led the team in targets. But we haven't seen that. We haven't seen any type of David Njoku emphasis like we saw last year yet either. And I think that's another piece to this is when you had your first game of good quarterback play, right? So you're finally like, here's the offense we were building towards. Here's what we're doing. Kevin and Deshaun, their chest bumping. You're like, look, think about what they can do building off this. This is a build off performance. And then Deshaun doesn't play, and all of your momentum is just effectively kicked right in the nuts. It's just it's so frustrating because you felt like they were right on the cusp of truly turning the corner. And they absolutely could, but it was just such a momentum killer to go from your quarterback plays his most complete and best game in a Browns uniform, and immediately the next week he doesn't play.
That was my biggest feeling going into Sunday. We're going from Saturday night to Sundays. We know he's questionable. He's telling Mary Kay he's playing. All those reports are coming. There was a massive opportunity for him in this because we knew he'd be going out there banged up. You'd earn more respect from the fan base knowing that he's going to go out there. And if you actually perform after, you know what I mean, coming off that last game, that momentum, man, stacking those games on top of each other, because we can't be standing here in week 7 going, well, he was good in week 3.
Yeah,
that shit don't cut it, man.
Nope.
Like this, that's the bar now. Like we know what needs to happen for this. Like week 3, that was the only time we've seen complimentary football. And what'd you do?
Yeah.
You destroyed a team. Yeah. If you put that effort in, week out, you'll smash the Colts, you'll smash the Seahawks, the Cardinals, all these teams on the other side of the 49ers. If you put it together, you can actually go on a run. But I just don't feel like that they're going to be able to give that effort week in and week out, and that's sad. We've been waiting on this, man. Like you said, this has been building since 2018. Yeah. We've been waiting on this, and you're asking a fan base who's been waiting for fucking 30 years to keep waiting. Like, just keep waiting. It's there. It's on the other side of tomorrow. Man, tomorrow's today, dude. You got to do it.
It'll be there.
I preach patience with Baker, with that regime, with that era, because you finally started to turn the corner and have legitimate talent. There is no more waiting. This is what you built the talent for. This is what you spent the money for. This is what you drafted all these guys for. There is no more waiting. There's no more next year. It is this year. You're all in for this year. This is why you guarantee the money to the quarterback and all of this. So I think that is why I've changed my mentality so much, because the team's all in, right? So you can't say there's always next year when the team's all in. I mean, yes, we'll be here next year. I understand that. Casey Jacob started the show by saying how Casey pulled him back in, and we'll all be pulled back in. But this is supposed to be that year where you start to really break through. And so I think my final thought really, and I saw MC in the chat saying that I'm here to make you feel better. I'm going to try. I think if we see Deshaun continue to play like he did against Tennessee, because I thought with the way the defense started against Baltimore, if they had gotten some offensive help, they could have continued to. They would have been. Anytime your defense is on the field for a long time, they're going to wear down. I don't care what year, how good, the talent, whatever. They're going to wear down. They wear down first. So when your offense is giving no help, so I do think that this could have been a very different game if you had Watson and if you had. I don't need the Tennessee Watson to win that game. I don't think, but that's neither here nor there. If you can keep getting Tennessee Watson, I think you're going to win a lot of games just because he was that good. He had that high of a completion rate above expectation. He was actually. I mean, listening to the breakdown of that and just watching it back, you could see that he was really finding something. So if you keep finding that, if you get that level from Watson, you're going to win more games than you're not.
That's a good spot to end, right?
I think so. So Casey, Thank you for being here as well, because man, most of the time this is that you decompress, you say, hey, we're gonna be okay. I think they could be okay, but regardless, you made this so much better because I don't think I was okay this episode.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. It was a therapy session. Get everything out.
Yes.
We get this week. What are you guys gonna do this weekend without Browns football?
I'm gonna root for the
probably
Ravens.
chores.
I'm gonna root for the Ravens and the Steelers to both lose. Yes,
Solid.
I got to build a new gate for my porch.
A little fantasy. So my biggest and most important league that I've never won is a 16 team league. So I made the mistake of drafting Daniel Jones to be my quarterback this year, but I had the wisdom to assemble Nico Collins and Tank Dell. So I was able to assemble the Stroud, Collins, Dell stack in that league. So from here on out, we ride with CJ Stroud. I love what he's doing. That is, they say Ohio State quarterbacks don't translate to the NFL, and I don't care if he's in Houston. It is awesome to see that guy thriving down there. I love that as the former Buckeye. But that's it. Anyway, I'll be rooting for him until the Browns play it. Anyway, this has been episode 122 of the Barking Brown Show. And Nick, he's Jacob over there, and there's Casey. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Some species of penguins can launch poop bombs up to 5 miles per hour.